So I'm curious, are you I imagine what it's like to publish a novel. Are you doing a bunch of these? Like, are you going on actual lots of podcasts or shows or
I've been on a few. So I
okay.
was just on Blood on the Typewriter, which is more dark fiction based, I
Mhm.
suppose. And then I'll be on one in January called Coffee Fueled Stories.
Hmm.
And she's kind of all over the place. But she kind of mixes like talking with writers about writing, but also about coffee.
Well,
Um,
they go hand in hand, honestly.
which is like her two loves. So,
Yeah.
um, but I met the guy from Blood on the Typewriter, Robbie. I met at StokerCon last year, which is how I knew about him.
Hmm.
And then Michelle, I kind of just watched her show a couple times and got a hold of her. But mostly I've been doing like in-store events. Um, I just did one at a brewery 2 weeks ago. I'm doing another one at a brewery on the
Beer
20th.
and books?
Beer and books, yeah, people love that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
kind of all over the place a little bit. And then I have some reviews coming out, and then I'll be in Articles of Horrors doing an interview in January, but they're a published like a magazine. I think they're
Hmm.
online, but they're more of
Gotcha.
a magazine.
This will be the least professional but most fun interview of the entire media tour. Guaranteed.
On, on that note, I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And I'm
That's
JR.
JR.
And this is Check Your Shelf. Okay, so today we're going to do something completely different. Usually on our show, we talk about vintage stuff. Now, Steve does read a lot more modern stuff than I do. But this time around, we have an interview with a good friend of mine, and we thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about his book. And without further delay or ado, uh, welcome to the show, JR.
Thank
You
you.
just finished your book, Portraits of Decay. It's great. I full disclosure, like I said, I've known JR since his garage band days back in the 90s when he was a teenager. So I'm a little bit biased, but I did pay for my own copy. So honestly, I will say, like I put there, Steve's got it. Like I put on Goodreads, this book grabs you by the prologue and breaks your heart by the finale. So with that,
Hands
JR,
off
why
my
don't you
prologue.
introduce yourself a little bit?
So my name is JR Blanes. I live in Chicago with my wife and our neurotic dog. I started writing when I was a kid, actually. I was kind of influenced early on by both of my parents. My father was one who liked the old Universal Monsters stuff, and he got me into that as a kid. And then we kind of went on to, he like would buy me the models and we'd fix them up. And then
Mhm.
he also turned me on to like Son of Svengoolie and stuff when I was a kid. So I would watch that and watch like old, the B-rated horror movies. And my mom was the one who was more into like the reading and writing. So
Yeah, yeah.
she kind of knew more of the dark stuff that I liked that she wasn't really into. So she would try to find things that she thought I would be into, which would be like Flowers in the Attic was one of the things she's like, here, read this. That's kind of like more up your alley than
Here,
what
you're
she normally
9.
read.
Read this.
Yeah. So, but I found, and then early on, I found Clive Barker was kind of like the person who really drew me into writing and creating as far as being a, a horror writer or a writer in general. And that was,
Mhm.
I actually, the book was called In the Flesh in the United States. I think it's Books of Blood 4, I think,
Okay.
when it originally was published. And I found that in a neighbor's, his mom had it on her kitchen table, and I thought
Oh.
the cover looked cool and asked her if I could borrow it. And she was like, yeah, go ahead if your parents are okay. And of course, my parents were cool about it.
I
So,
I
and that
didn't
was
read
kind
the
of the first
fourth
time I thought
one.
found that you could do like, sex and books and
Yeah.
reading language. And Even though I was into like Edgar Allan Poe at that point, like he wasn't doing that kind of stuff really. So I just started writing stories as a kid from there. And then by high school, as Paul had said, I'd kind of gotten into music. I was a bass player and had moved on to doing that for a long time. And then when my mom got sick with cancer was when I kind of got back into writing. More of like almost like some way of being close to her as I lost her. And that just turned into a thing I found I became obsessed with and I wanted to be really good at. So I started going to classes and studying, and luckily got to meet a lot of semi-famous authors who were teaching classes that kind of helped me like find my style and find my voice and refine my prose and things like that. And here I was, and I finally decided I'd written a couple books that went nowhere, and then finally kind of latched onto this one, Portraits of Decay, which was my love letter to New Orleans.
I love that so
side
much.
Note, your mom was awesome, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love New Orleans, and I can tell I'm going to love this book. As I mentioned over text, I've read the prologue and a couple of chapters. And as soon as when I was reading the prologue and I saw it set in New Orleans, I was like, I'm in. I'm reading this book. So
I figured you'd like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, New Orleans was a place. So it was actually the first place me and my wife went on vacation together when we were first started dating, and it was the first time I'd ever been there. And I just fell in love with it immediately. I mean, I love the music that was down there, the art that was down there. The architecture, I think, is just so interesting. There's nowhere else like it in the United States. And then, of course, you have all like the cemeteries and the voodoo and, the swamps that are out there. So it's just like this place that I think I'd never seen anything like that before. And I really latched onto. And then luckily, like literally like 4 or 5 months later, I got a job working for a private train company that rebuilt old Pullman cars. And the first place we went to is Chicago to New Orleans. And so I was down in New Orleans 4 days a week for 3.5 years for the most part. So I really got to soak up New Orleans a lot. I spent a lot of time down there and started speaking to people who spoke like the Cajun language and the Creole language, and did my best to learn that. I hope that they are happy with what I did with it. As you'll see, there's some of that language later on. And also learning like the Yat language, which is a language it's kind of like the slang of New Orleans, I suppose. So it's trying to be careful with that because you don't want to overdo it. I think that there are definitely books that take place in New Orleans that overdo that kind of slang.
You almost got to get a translator for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want that. And it doesn't sound, some people get it wrong because they think it sounds Southern, and it doesn't. It's not like a Southern accent. It's almost more like a New York accent or like a Brooklyn accent in a certain way, but has a Southern kind of twang to it a little bit. So I watched a lot of videos. I talked to a lot of people about that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to capture New Orleans as a character in itself. And I'm hoping that came across really well, which from what I've heard so far, people have enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. Having never been there, I pictured it pretty well, and I felt it because apparently New Orleans is humid AF.
Yeah.
Yes.
It comes through in your book.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Summertime, it can be very swelteringly hot. And I definitely wanted to have that in there, and just got kind of like the smells and everything. And right before I did the last draft of this and actually went into the editing with Anna, who was the editor for Ruidon, I went down there one last time with me and my wife went down there, and we actually hung out in the art district where a lot of this takes place, a good portion of this. And I actually like took pictures of all the places I wanted to use, or that I'd found, because I do a lot of like Google mapping, even in like when I do short stories and stuff. I like to use real places, and kind of describe them, and then find stories that fit within those settings. So it was really important to me, like go down and get all the pictures of the places I'd found that I wanted to use. And
you can tell you worked off of pictures. There you can hold stuff in your head and put it down, but you can also have a reference to go from. It really helps it, and it really fleshes it out really well.
Yeah, I think that to have something to constantly look at. I even had them like posted, by my computer at a point, especially like, getting places in the bayou, or getting the the voodoo store isn't one particular store in New Orleans. I used basically like 3 or 4 to kind of come up with my version of what I wanted, because I kind of wanted there's 2 different kinds of voodoo stores down in New Orleans. You have your very touristy, this is spooky voodoo, what you think of like when you watch like Angel Heart or any of those kind of like, Serpent the Rainbow, old school voodoo. But I also wanted the real voodoo, which is the religious aspect of it. And so I went to like the Temple of Voodoo, which is very authentic in that sense and really more about the religion. So I kind of wanted to have a store that kind of showed both of those aspects, and I couldn't find one that did that. So I had to kind of blend them.
Yeah, and it shows. It definitely shows, because there's conversations in the book about no, that's the stuff we sell to the tourists. This is the good stuff over here. That kind of that's a nutshell of it.
Right, and that's what you see down there. You see people who are like, this is, I think Voodoo Authentica, which is in the French Quarter, is probably the closest to what my voodoo story is, because they do, like, I was actually, when I was down there last time, they were doing a voodoo celebration, which was religious based. But they still do a lot of the catering of, we'll read your tarot cards and your poems, and we'll sell you like, dolls and everything else. They still
pay the bills
there. Yeah, you gotta pay the bills, and it's what people are interested in that don't practice that religion.
Give the people what they want. That's what we try to do on this show.
That, as a writer, I think is what we try to do mostly, as much as possible. But you can only get so much of what people are going to want. But I'm hoping that, I always say, like, I hope that people that live in New Orleans feel at home. The people that have been there want to go back, and the people that never have gone will want to go.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my point in setting it there, and wanting to kind of really delve deep into feel the atmosphere of what it would be like.
Road trip. We're going to Cross Plains, Texas, by way of New Orleans.
Hey, man. Couple days there.
Yeah.
What you need.
Cross Plains is
go from humidity to just blistering sun.
That's right. Boyhood home of Robert E. Howard is Cross Plains, Texas. We've been talking a lot about that lately. That's where Ishmael has his foundation.
Oh, okay. So we could, that would be a good trip then. A little road trip, couple days in New Orleans, have some food, and
that's right.
And then go on your way.
Our respective significant others would never see us again, because we'd be dumb enough to get on the pontoon boat and go out there somewhere. Never be seen again.
We'd get on one of those airboats with the giant fan on the back and go skimming across the swamp.
Just be careful. Just be careful with the alligators they're laying out there, and but other than that, you'll be okay. And maybe a swamp witch or two. They may be out there lurking out
swamp
there.
Creature.
So,
speaking of the book, I have a very important question, and I think I know the answer, but it's gonna enhance the enjoyment of the rest of my reading of your book.
Sure.
How do you pronounce Neva? Is it Neva?
It's
or
Neva. So it's Neva.
Neva.
Yeah, so it's basically heaven spelled backwards.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So, it's heaven spelled backwards. So
up here we'd probably say Nevea, but down there it'd sound a little more like Neva. Yeah.
Neva. Yeah.
Jefferson spelled backwards is Nasrefej. Did I just cast a spell?
No one else has anything special about that. But
I was doing that though when I caught, because I realized what her name was backwards, and I'm like, all right, then there's this other character, so I'm on the internet. All right, come on, there's got to be a connection here. Oh, nope, nothing.
And it's Gemma, right, with a soft G.
Gemma,
not Gemma like GIF.
Yeah, not Gemma. Gemma, Merland, because it doesn't have the E is not spelled. You'll find Merland later on. Like, character names are really important to me. I always spend a lot of time trying to figure out the perfect name for my characters, which is why in drafts I always have to kind of go through and make sure because I change the names all the time until I find out what I want. So it was very purposeful. Jefferson was originally Jackson, and then I remembered there's Jackson Square, so I thought that would be really confusing. And I changed it to Jefferson, and then later found out there's Jefferson Parish, but I don't think people know Jefferson Parish as much as Jackson Square. So I felt
Jackson Square even I know about.
Yeah, so I thought that would be really confusing. Gemma, I think I just thought it sounded like a wicked woman's name. I don't know why I picked that one particularly. I think it just sounded good.
Yeah, I was running
Um,
down the list of your exes going, does he know a Gemma? Because,
no, everyone's like, is this based on something? I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I mean, they maybe have taken a few things from a few people, but definitely
Yeah.
not anyone. Nobody I know is, no one I've ever dated at least has been this bad.
Well, now that
Well,
you're,
good. Otherwise, I don't
Honestly,
think
I'm
we'd be
still
having
living,
this
so
interview.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well, why don't you go ahead and tell the folks at home and Steve, who hasn't read it, with as spoiler free as you can get it, what your book is about.
So, Portraits of Decay is about a group of artists that are living in New Orleans. It says basically right after the pandemic, or pretty close to after the pandemic. So, galleries have been struggling. They're trying to get back on their feet. And Jefferson, the main character, is an up and coming artist who his girlfriend Gemma is kind of an art influencer. She's someone who has been in the scene for a while, and she gets him in the Carondelet Street Gallery, which is very famous gallery that is now struggling kind of get by, and they're holding this big show because they want to get back on their feet and they want really good and new artists. So she gets him in that, but Gemma kind of has a little bit more of a plan. She wants to take over the Carondelet. So, and she thinks that Jefferson can help her do it. What she doesn't know is that Jefferson is in love with his muse, the photographer Neva Parker, who he's known for a long time. Actually, they met in college. So, and kind of have had this off and on relationship. Neva is kind of what you would consider maybe the purest artist. She's someone who is doing this to kind of help deal with her pain and her past, which she's had a very harsh past.
I got that.
So Gemma is, when she finds out that Jefferson is having an affair, she decides that she can't let him go and goes to Merlin de Saint Pierre, who is a swamp witch, and gets a potion to put him under her control. After that, things just go horribly wrong, as you can imagine. So that in a nutshell, as being spoiler-free as possible, is what this novel is about.
From there, it's a madcap dash to the end.
It's
hilarious.
Really kind of came from a conversation I had with a friend of mine who is a musician, and I think we were just out drinking one day, and we were like, "What would you do if you couldn't make art anymore? Like if you couldn't play, or you couldn't write, or you know, we're just like kind of talking about it." And I was like, I think my soul would just die. What you would consider a soul. Like this is my identity is kind of based around my creativity and what I do.
Yeah.
So that kind of like snapped this idea in my head about like, how could I physically show that and emotionally show this person who's had this taken away from them, and what would it do?
I've always said I need to create the way most people need air. I get it. So and you get the pain and the suffering and the misery and everything out of these characters, particularly Jefferson and Neva, because of the events that happen. And like I said, by the end of this book, man, when I was talking to Mark about it, because I hadn't quite finished it yet, and he's like, man, he's like, that third part, I'm doing like this. I'm reading it, trying to get to the end of it. And I thought,
I'll be like
this. This is, for me, this is this is kind of how I think about, like, when a book is good. I have this thing where, like, I can't wait to find out how it ends, but I also don't want it to end. And if I can kind of figure out, in fact, your mom had said this numerous times about movies. Like she could figure out a movie ending like that.
Oh yeah,
some of them were, but some of them you just wanted to see them play out. Well, I thought I had this played out in my head, and it got to the end. I'm like, okay, I was way off with that. So good on you, man.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Endings are like the hardest thing for writers. I mean, Stephen King's notorious for not having great endings in a lot of his books,
among other things.
Or great beginnings,
I like
or
Stephen
middles.
King, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about him. I actually like some of his books, but they're very difficult to get right, because you have to make that landing, or people are going to be like, "Oh man, I read this whole book and I hate the ending." So. And it has to be something I think that doesn't come out of nowhere, but isn't expected. So there's kind of this like nice balance
Yeah.
I hate twist endings. I'm not a big fan of like the gotcha moment, the M. Night Shyamalan, I
It was
tricked
all
you
a
kind of
dream.
thing. So unless they're done really well, I mean, they can be done really well, but I like something that you're surprised by, but when you look back at the book, you're like, yeah, I should have saw that coming. And I think that does come from my mom. That's from her watching mysteries all the time and being like, talking about it and being like, the best thing about a mystery is that when you look back, the killer was obvious.
Oh man. Yeah. I read a Lawrence Block book like that one time, and I got to the ending, and I'm like, I can't believe in the first chapter the clue was right there, and Matt Scudder called it out in the last chapter, and it's like, how the hell did I miss that? So yeah, if it's peppered in there really well, very subtle, and it's great, as opposed to just coming, like you said, the killer is somebody you never even knew existed, or it was the butler.
Right, and I think mysteries do so much a better job of that than a lot of horror does. Like you watch a lot of horror, and it's like you just pick somebody that you got to see for like 5 minutes that ended up being the killer. Where I think Scream did it pretty well. I think being one of the better horror movies that has done something like that. But for the most part, I think mysteries just do it so much better. Which I'm kind of working on a thriller mystery now. So I will see if I'm able to pull it off, because it's extremely difficult.
Is it gonna take place in New Orleans?
It is not. It's actually taking place in my hometown of Chicago. It's
Oh, well, if it can't be New Orleans, it might as well be Chicago.
That's right. Another city I love.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll eventually probably write another New Orleans story, but I try to pick places that I feel my novels, the stories fit. Like I have a second book I'm shopping now that's about witchcraft, and I didn't want to do Salem, so I found out that actually Hartford, Connecticut was the first place they did witch trials.
Oh, okay.
So I set it there because I feel like it fits. So yeah, some people are like, "Oh, that's not as exciting as New Orleans," but I'm like, "Well, it's not everything can be New Orleans." So
just wait and see, man.
Yeah,
read the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wait till it comes out. I'm not gonna give you any more about that since it's not even sold yet. So
that's fine.
What do you like to read?
I mean, I've read everything for a long time. I mean, I definitely obviously I love horror because I write horror. And I think that right now the horror genre is very exciting because I think it's probably the most exciting it's ever been, because you see a lot of blending of genres. There's a lot of like sci-fi horror or noir horror or mystery horror. And I think the writing's gotten a lot better in horror. Like I think, and not that I think it was terrible before, but I think it's definitely trying to lean more into the literary sense of we really want it to be beautifully described and have this wonderful language. So I'm very excited about that in itself. But I think there's a lot of genres that are doing that. I think whether they're doing it well or not I've seen like literary people trying to do like sci-fi and it doesn't always work, because obviously they don't know the conventions, or they think that they are doing something original and it's like, no, this has been done 1,000 times. You need to read more sci-fi.
Watch a couple episodes of Star Trek. You'll be
right. So I think but I like that there's a lot of people who are trying to do different things. Fantasy and horror have definitely blended. Now you have like grim dark and dark fantasy, and so I like a lot of that. So I kind of, as much as I blend my writing, I like to read a lot of different things. So I kind of try to go out and find out what's the best of the best, or what people are saying is out there that they're finding interesting. So especially during the pandemic when I was reading a ton because there wasn't anything else to do. Like I was literally like I would have like 3 different books going on. Like, let me read a little bit of this. Let me read a little bit of this. And not all that's new. I mean, I still go back and read old stuff that I never read before. I think I took a little bit of break of that out of college because I read so much of it in college, and some of it was great and some of it was terrible. I mean, I never want to read Wuthering Heights again in my life.
I tried once.
It was rough. I had to read it once for a class, and it was
Yeah.
rough. But I still I just read Psycho not that long ago, and because I'd never read it. I'd only seen the movie, and I think it's an excellent book, especially for its time. I mean, yeah, you can say it's a little dated, but for its time, I think it still holds up. And I think that's one thing I find really great about a lot of old books, that they still hold up. And I don't know if a lot of books that are coming out now are going to, just because you have to be careful. I try not to do too much with technology. I try not to do too much with the slang that's coming out now, because I want it to transcend and be still fresh later on.
Yeah.
You want it to still have Riz.
Nobody yelled 6'7",
Yeah. I don't have anyone saying that. Definitely will not have anyone saying or anything like that.
We tried to make the same joke at the same time with two different slang things. We've been doing this for a while, about 50 years, close to 50 years. So
yeah, something like that.
We started out at the back of a school bus.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think the smart thing for writers do, in my second book, I invented my own slang, and I just had, because it takes place in a high school, so I did want to have slang in there, but I didn't want to. So I just kind of made up my own, but made it obvious enough where it's not, you're going to be confused by and it's not overly done, but just kind
a
of
little translation guide.
What's an
a little
example?
Glossary in the back.
What's an example of some slang that you made up? We'll try to make it. We'll try to get it going.
Yeah, we'll get it going for a hashtag.
I know. I'm trying to think. I haven't read the book in a year.
Put him on the spot.
Sorry, I finished it long ago.
Dear listener, we did not send questions ahead of time, just so you know.
Yeah. So I can't think of any particular word. I'd have to look it up again. But I know a lot of it had to do with insults. So, it would usually, I try to relate it to the character somehow. So that's it wouldn't be 4 eyes, because obviously that's so old, but it would be something of that vein. That's
Gotcha.
How are you making fun of a kid now that's either a little nerdy, or I have a trans student that's in it. So how do you do that with respect to them? So how can you, they're kind of this outsider, but they're a really important character to the book. They're actually one of the heroes of the book, if not kind of the main hero of the book. So it's finding ways to kind of have them have these back and forth with people they bump heads with and don't get along with. And then certain things about I tried not to describe, there's I guess a social media thing, which is kind of like Instagram, I guess, but it's called scanners. So it's more of a video thing. So it's kind of a mix between Instagram and whatever else is out there that people are doing videos for, TikTok, I suppose. But I didn't want to use those because I feel maybe not right when the book comes out, but within 10 years, are those things going to even be a thing anymore?
Yeah.
I like it when TV shows, particularly police dramas, try to they don't want to use the word. I was watching an old episode of Law and Order SVU, and they were talking about, this is their MySpace profile. It looks just like MySpace,
Right. So I think that doesn't quite hold up as much anymore, unless you're speaking about that particular time. If it's written for you're writing about the 70s or 80s or 90s or whatever at that point in time, I can see doing those kind of things. But if it's just present, I try not to have that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Paul, I don't know where you wanted to go next, but I have another really important question on the topic of genres. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. What genre would you say that is?
Wow, that's tough.
And we're gonna abide by your decision, whatever it is.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's a blended genre. I think it's sci-fi horror. I don't think it is one or the other. I think it is a mix. Because you really do have the science in the beginning when you're putting, when he's creating the monster. I mean, you spend a lot of time with him in the lab and what he's doing and his failures. And then you kind of have a little bit of the horror side, but I don't know. You can also call it a drama too, because it's very dramatic. I mean, the monster is not purposely cruel.
Yeah. other than being a
Yeah,
serial killer.
yeah, he's not a serial killer. He's not like a demon. He's not out there trying to do trickery. So I think it's also could be considered very much a drama. I mean, I love my favorite part in that book is when he's kind of living outside the family and he's learning from them, which
it's very
in the
sweet.
new version I didn't think was done as well. Like I felt like it could have been done a little bit better, and it didn't have the iconic scene where the girl, you know, is in the pond and he tries to save her. So I think that for me is very literary and very dramatic. So I give her credit because I don't think that was being done as much. I mean, people always say, like, what do you like better, Frankenstein or Dracula? And I would say Frankenstein is 10 times better than Dracula. Just because of what it was doing at that point in time with doing different.
This interview's over. I'm out.
You can't walk out on your own interview. That's not how that works. Hey, I was thinking there's some romance as well. And
absolutely.
Elements of fantasy. So I would say it's like romantasy. That's probably how I would categorize it, as romantasy.
I would say the new movie is romantasy.
Oh, is it? I haven't seen the
I think it's romantasy. If you want to know what I think, down below I'll link the Return of the Son of the Show episode where me and Mark discuss, you know, Del Toro's Frankenstein.
Right. That's right. Yeah. That's a pretty recent video. JR's brother, by the way.
Yes,
it is. Yes.
On Return of the Son of the Show. Just one other thing about Frankenstein, then we can wrap this up. This Frankenstein bit that we're doing. If you worked at a bookstore and you had to put that book on a shelf, but you only have one copy, and you've got to put it in horror, or you've got to put it in sci-fi, or you got to put it in drama or romantasy. Where are you putting it? And keep in mind, customers are coming in looking for the book, and they're going to go to a particular section to look for it. Where are they going to go?
He's trying so hard.
No, that is difficult. I'm probably going to go. Was drama one of those?
Oh, I should not. It was. I probably shouldn't have done that.
I would probably put it in. I'm going to say I would put it in drama, and I say that because I think people who read dramas can read other genres a little bit more. Like if you're going to go in a horror section, I'm going to look for a horror book. Yeah. Like it's going to have to definitely have horror elements, and some people may not consider Frankenstein horror. Same with sci-fi. Like if I'm going in the sci-fi section, I'm specifically looking for something that has those sci-fi elements that I want. I don't know if Frankenstein for everyone would meet those needs.
You, without knowing it, JR, you have done the Solomon thing. You have split the baby in half without knowing it. We had the longest text conversation about whether it was sci-fi or horror. And we did agree that it's probably sci-fi horror, but then we couldn't agree on where it would be in the video store. I was saying the video store, like where would it be categorized? But you split the baby. You said it's a sci-fi horror, but I'd put it in drama. Okay. Having said that, we have on our little corner of BookTube here, we seem to have gathered a little community, right? So our viewers, we need to sell these books, man. We need to sell these books to these viewers. Portraits of Decay, J.R. Blanes. What is your best pitch to a group of viewers who generally like authors like H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard,
mostly dead authors
from the late 18th, late 1800s, early 1900s. I get confused. There is a pumpkin rolling down that hill. Anyway, so what are we going to say to these folks? Like, if you like this, you're going to love that. You're going to love this book. If you liked that kind of genre, you're going to love this.
Yeah.
I would say, like, if you like kind of the Gothic feel of like Edgar Allan Poe, you're going to like this because this is a Southern Gothic.
Nick. He's talking to you, Nick.
Yeah.
It has like the cemeteries in it. It doesn't have castles in it, but it has the architecture of New Orleans, which is a very old 1920s feel. You have the witchcraft that's in it. And so I would think it has kind of the Gothic feel, but I also feel like it has the madness that would go along with someone that likes H.P. Lovecraft. So if you love like stuff leading to madness and the strange supernatural that can be out there. You're gonna love like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff like that. If you're looking for the kind of like psychos and craziness that a Robert Bloch novel is going to give you, it has that in it because there is someone who loses their mind and does very psycho-esque things, very Norman Bates type things in it. So I think there's a little bit of all of that in this book. There's obsession in it. There is manipulation in it. There's art in it. So, if you like old school books about art and has to deal with, people who are trying to make their way in that kind of living, or you have done that, that's going to speak to you as well.
Yeah. I thought the art community angle was an interesting one because I was like, how's it going to pull that off? And you do quite well, honestly.
Some people in the art community. I know you're an artist as a bass player, but you also hang out with artists.
I've gotten very lucky. I do know people who are painters, and so I did talk a lot to them and did research through them. You can't really like be in New Orleans without seeing the art that's everywhere. And so I spent a lot of time actually going to galleries and talking to gallery owners and just talking to people that are, they hang their art on Jackson Square, on the gates, stuff. I really wanted that to be in there. But I got lucky when I got picked up by Ruodon Books that the editor I got, Anna Kuhn, is also a painter. So whatever I had not quite gotten right, and then she added some things and added some really nice touches to it. The interview, that's Anna Kuhn's work right there.
This is great. This is going on my wall as soon as I get a frame for it. This is lovely. I love this.
Yeah. So that came. People who pre-ordered the book got that as a free gift for pre-ordering the book. But she did the art for that. I actually have the original, which is wonderful, and she did it on a piece of block of wood, and it's fantastic. But she you'll see there early on there's an interview chapter, and that really came from her idea. She wanted to add that in the book and really helped me talk about what questions does a journalist ask an artist and how would an artist respond. And so we kind of really worked back and forth on that kind of thing. So I got really lucky in the sense that she had a lot of experience. She's taught art. She's actually doing gallery shows all this few months. So she's kind of like off her editing duties for a moment. So that really helped me too, because I'm not a painter. I enjoy art very much. I love going to art galleries. I wish that I had that kind of talent. I have brothers who have that talent.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, so
they're surprisingly good.
So I think that I've been lucky to know people because I don't consider myself a terrible drawer, but it's not something I think I'm very good at, and it's not something I've spent. I was always more into English and literature, and music was kind of more the thing that I went for. But I wanted to talk. I never want to write a book about an author. I just don't enjoy those kind of books. I think they're overdone at this point. So
I don't think they're authentic enough. They always sound like, do you understand what you do? Because this guy isn't coming across as an author. It's coming across as someone pretending to be an author, or what a non-author thinks an author does.
Right. And it's a lot of time it's all about, I'm blocked, I can't write. And that's just really dull to me. I don't find a writer's life all that exciting. It's kind of like all these movies they're putting out about musicians. I'm like, why? They're not that exciting. They're all the same. They're all, it's not that exciting of a life.
Unless you do a lot of drugs, I guess. Drugs and
even
alcohol.
That kind of becomes boring after a while, though. You know what I mean? Like I was fine. I did drugs, and then my life either got bad or I got clean. There's only like so many answers to that.
There's only so many routes you can go from there.
Right. Where I think like with art, though, there was something about like there's images there. There's things that I could do with like the imagery to show emotion, and I think that's what really kind of tied, because that was actually one of the last things that I started working on for the book. This came from a short story originally, and then kind of had built over time. So the art storyline was the last thing that I came up with, and I decided on art because I liked the idea of showing the pain and suffering of not being able to do art through through images, and how you could I guess convey emotion through those kind of images and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I chose to do art instead of doing music or writing or something like that.
Yeah. Is there anything we didn't ask that you wanted to talk about?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I mean, we've covered most of the important things of the book. I'm trying not to give things away, and I think that's so
Great.
far that's what's been great about these podcasts. Everybody's doing something a little bit different. And I like that we're not just focusing on the book. We're focusing on other conversations that lead out of it. So that's always a little bit exciting to me than being sitting here and being like, my book's about this, and this is how I wrote it. And
Yeah,
I get enough of those. I get enough of those questions, especially from
Mhm.
like selling books to people who
Yeah.
want to know how you wrote it because they want to pitch their idea to you, and that's always very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did your editor also do the cover? Or
No, it's a different guy who did it's two different people. You'd have to look in the book for me. I can't remember I know Todd Kiesling did the inside of the book, so he did all the bugs on the inside. I can't remember the name of the guy who's on the cover.
Kip Ayers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Kip Ayers.
All right.
The other thing I like about this page that it's the world we live in now. There's a whole thing in here about basically AI not being able to legally mine your book. That's the world we live in, man.
Yeah, that and you have to have tell people what bad things are in the book so that they know. It's like the medicine thing. Like this can do this, this can do this, so at the end of the book, it's like, this has post-traumatic stress, and this has this in it. So you can't have a book anymore without those being in there.
Do not read Portraits of Decay if you're allergic to any of its ingredients.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Don't read Portraits of Decay if you don't like bloody things happening and gore.
Ask J.R. Blanes if Portraits of Decay is right for you. His answer will be yes.
Man, am I looking forward to finishing this book.
I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm glad that people have gotten really good reviews and people are really seeming to like it. I know like one of the good things is actually my editor Anna. She just got a copy of it for some reason. I'm like, you should have been like one of the first people to have it. But she gave it to her husband who doesn't read.
Oh.
And he read it in a day and a half.
Oh, geez.
And she's like, he thought it was such an easy read. So yeah, so I thought that was a really good compliment when you have people who don't normally read it and they even like it. So but yeah, I'm hoping it sells well.
That's awesome. My last question is for Paul. Hey, Paul, out of 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, what do you give this book?
Solid 4, man. This is a great start to what is hopefully going to be a long career for you, man. I can't recommend this book enough.
When's the next one out?
So I am shopping it right now. I'll be shopping it, querying it. So with other publishers, and I'm hoping to get an agent this time. So that would be what I'm focusing on. I did talk with Ruodon about it. They didn't want to do it because they've already got 2 witch novels coming out this next 2 years, and they didn't want to do a third.
Yeah.
And the person who wrote those 2 witch novels is someone who won the Bram Stoker, so they're not going to not do her novels.
Gotcha. Yeah.
No. So I'd hope to get with them, but they were very kind about it. I don't hold anything against them, and they actually are more interested in my 3rd book, which I'm working on the rough draft right now.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I'm going to start. So you can't really query during the holidays. You have to wait till the new year to query because no agents or anyone's looking at anything right now. So I'm going to start querying and hopefully have it picked up so that it can come up in 2027 at the latest, hopefully, is what I'm hoping for. Cool. Unless they do. I mean, this one was picked up earlier this year and came out the end of this year. So
nice. Hey, I'll be your agent pro bono. Because here's what we're going to do. It's not a witch, it's a sorcerer. And we're going to take it back to Ruodon and be like, no, it's not a witch. It's not a witch. This is a sorcerer or a magic user or something like that,
They're going to be like, we've already read this book and no.
Yeah. No, but look, it's not a witch. Anyway. Well, hopefully we move a few copies here.
I appreciate that.
Any help is great. For everything.
Where do you like to link people to buy books? Do you care? Or
so you can go to ruodonbooks.com. You can go to my website, jrblanes.com. It's also available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And it's in a few bookstores now. And I guess they just got a distributor that has connections with 270 bookstores and libraries throughout the United States, and then some in Europe. So hopefully by next year, it's going to be in a lot more bookstores by this
Cool.
point.
Awesome.
So
Like
that
I
would
said,
be
I'll link everything down below.
Perfect.
okay. Perfect. Yeah, but that's the best place right now to find it would be those places.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up this portrait of Decay. I'm Paul,
I'm Steve.
I'm JR.
and the next time you're looking for something to read,
Check your shelf.
And
there you
buy
go.
this book and put this book on that shelf that you're checking.
That's right.